forget that she came to your school and you were able to hear her story. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our fabulous Vice President of Public Affairs. Put your hands together for Mary McGuire.
Thank you so much, Roz. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and I know that Ruby Bridges is someone who has meant a great deal to you since you were a little girl, and meant a great deal to your family and to your mother and so many of your friends. So I know that this is a big thrill for all of us today. Ruby, thank you so much for being with us again this year.
Are you kidding me? This is amazing. Thank you guys for having me at your school. I really appreciate it. I need to take some of those flags home to give them to my grandchildren.
Now comes the...
I have to remind you that I'd already started school the year before, the kindergarten. Are there any kindergartners in here? Yeah? Okay, there you go. Little tiny ones. Well, I started school at an all-black school where everybody in the school looked the same, exactly like me. Even my teacher, everybody that worked at the school, and I absolutely loved school. I loved it. My teacher reminded me of my grandmother, why I was going. But all of a sudden there was a knock at the door, my parents opened the door, and 4 very tall white men were standing at the door. I didn't know who they were. As a matter of fact, that didn't happen when I went to kindergarten at the all-black school. So I thought, well, who told them that I needed a ride to school today? Well, they said we are U.S. Marshals, and we've been sent by the President of the United States. And we are here to escort you and your daughter to school today. And so that seemed really, really important. But we got into the car with them, we started this very short drive to my new school, and the minute that car turned the corner, I saw what you saw on screen just a minute ago. All of these people were standing out in front of the school. And they were screaming and shouting and throwing things. But you know, I live in New Orleans, and in New Orleans we have a celebration every year that's called Mardi Gras. And Mardi Gras is when everybody comes out and it's a parade and it lasts all day long. So people are screaming and shouting and throwing little beads that you catch and wear around your neck. So when I saw that crowd that day, I thought, today is Mardi Gras. I'm in a parade. But I wasn't in a parade. But because no one told me what was happening, I actually thought it was a parade. And so the minute that car door opened and those 4 very tall white men rushed to me inside of the building, they took me straight to the principal's office. And my mom and I, we went into the principal's office and took a seat. And the very next thing that happened is everybody that was outside screaming and shouting, they rushed inside of the building. And I was sitting in the principal's office watching them. They would pass the window and they would point at me. And their faces looked really angry about something. But they kept going back and forth, and when they came back by the window, there were kids with them. And the whole day that happened, I sat in the principal's office and watched that happen. Finally, the bell rang, and the principal came in and she said, "School is dismissed. You can leave." And I remember sitting there thinking, wow, this school is easy. Nothing happened that day. But when we got home, my mom turned her television set on, and she said, "Oh my God, what have I done?" Because she saw what everybody across the country saw. And that was the mob of people outside that I didn't even know was a mob. The very next day, when we arrived in front of the school on the second day, the crowds had almost doubled in size. My mom said that is the day that she was the most nervous. And those federal marshals were with us, and they rushed us inside of the building on the second day. But when I got into the building on the second day, it was different. It was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. And those 4 federal marshals, they walked me up the stairs, and when I got to the top of the stairs, the principal said, "Your class is down the hall." turned me around and they walked me down the hall. I didn't see any kids, nobody except me. And when we got to this classroom, the door opened and a woman stepped out. And she said, "Hi, my name is Mrs. Henry, I'm your teacher." And when I looked at her, my first thought was, she's white. I had never seen a white teacher before. And she looked exactly like all the people outside that seemed really angry. But she said, "Come in, take a seat." And when I looked into the classroom, all I saw was empty desks. But I went in and I took a seat, and this teacher began to teach me. Her name was Mrs. Henry, and she came from Boston to teach me. Because some teachers quit their jobs.